Tonight, we venture into the chilling history of the Belasco House, a place that has haunted locals for over a century. Known as the Mount Everest of haunted houses, it stands like a dark sentinel, its windows like soulless eyes watching over a desolate land. Many have tried to uncover its secrets. Few have lived to tell the tale. The walls have absorbed a history of pain, madness, and despair, a veritable magnet for the lost, the damned, and the curious. Our story begins on a bleak autumn afternoon. 4 people arrive at the ominous gates of Belasco House, each drawn for different reasons. First, Dr. Lionel Barrett, a renowned physicist with an unshakable belief in science, hoping to demystify this place. His wife Edith, reserved and anxious, clutches his hand, feeling the first pangs of dread. Florence Tanner, a spiritualist, steps out next, her hands already trembling as she feels the house's malevolent aura. And finally, Ben Fischer, the only living survivor of a previous investigation, now drawn back into the fold by his old obsession, the nightmares that never left him. As night falls, the team settles into their rooms, and the house falls into an eerie silence. Florence begins to feel an oppressive presence as she walks through the halls, the walls almost pulsing with a dark energy. She mutters under her breath, calling to the spirits that linger here. In the dimly lit sitting room, Dr. Barrett sets up his equipment with a clinical detachment, utterly convinced he can find a rational explanation for whatever they encounter. Edith, however, cannot shake a growing sense of unease. Shadows seem to lengthen and distort as she walks through the house, and the air grows colder with every step. That night, she wakes suddenly to the sound of faint laughter, cold and cruel, echoing down the hall. She peers out into the dark corridor, but sees nothing. The next morning, Florence describes a vision she had, a figure shrouded in darkness, whispering threats and promises of pain. She believes she has encountered the spirit of Emmerich Belasco, the original owner, a man who committed unspeakable atrocities within these walls. But Dr. Barrett dismisses her claims, asserting it's a product of suggestion and superstition. Ben, however, is silent. His face betrays a flicker of recognition. As the day wears on, the manifestations grow more intense. Dr. Barrett's equipment picks up a strange frequency, a steady, pulsating hum that seems to come from deep within the walls. Curious and frustrated, he begins to follow the sound through a series of twisting hallways. The others follow, but as they go deeper, the walls seem to close in around them. Edith starts to feel as though they're being watched, her skin prickling under an invisible gaze. Suddenly, a door slams behind them, the sound echoing like a gunshot, sealing them in the darkness. As they retreat to their rooms, Florence feels compelled to reach out to the spirit of Belasco. She sits alone in the dark, her voice soft as she calls to him. But as she opens her senses, a sudden, overwhelming rage fills her mind. She gasps as a torrent of images floods her vision. Scenes of torture, broken bodies, faces twisted in agony. The spirit of Belasco, she realizes, does not want peace. He wants dominance, to break them one by one. Ben, in the next room, feels a chill run through him. He recalls his own encounter with this dark presence years ago, the terror that had nearly broken him. But he steels himself, knowing he must face it again if they are to survive. Dr. Barrett's skepticism is finally shattered when he witnesses an apparition, a woman's figure, pale and trembling, her eyes hollow and pleading. She reaches toward him, and as he stares in shock, she vanishes, leaving only a cold mist that clings to the air. Florence rushes in, frantic, telling him they must leave now, before the house claims them, as it has others. But the door won't budge, and as they try, the temperature drops, and they hear Belasco's voice, a menacing whisper promising them suffering. In the chaos, Edith collapses, overcome by terror. Dr. Barrett pulls her close, realizing too late that he underestimated the house's power. He mutters, "We shouldn't have come," We should never have come here. Ben, the reluctant hero, decides to confront the spirit himself, stepping into the center of the darkened room. He feels Belasco's hatred wash over him, cold and consuming, but he stands his ground, demanding the spirit release them. And in a moment of clarity, the air lightens. The house seems to ease, its hunger momentarily sated. Return to prove his theories, though the others know they'll never set foot near Belasco House again. As they look back, they see the house standing silent and still, waiting patiently for its next visitors.